Hi, and welcome back to Beyond the Bars, the podcast that uncovers the real stories of life after incarceration. Stories of struggles, growth, and also the strength it takes to start all over again. I'm your host, XOB, and this is my co-host.
Hello, I'm Andrew Ong, and today we have a special guest, someone that challenges the stereotypes of what an ex-offender is. So, he is Jonathan here, and we're going to hear part of his story. But before that, just a little introduction of how he challenges the stereotype. He's a scholar, he's a thinker, a father, someone who uses his experiences to reshape the narrative around what rehabilitation and reintegration of ex-offender is.
And in this conversation, we are going to talk about the power of being a scholar behind the bars. The barriers that still exist after his release and what it really takes to break the cycle. His insight is honest, reflective, and deeply inspiring. So whether you are here to learn, reflect, or connect, you're in for a powerful episode. Let's go beyond the bar. Let's welcome Jonathan. Yeah.
Hello. Good to have you, man.
Good. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, thank you for your time. I know you just came back for a ride, right?
Yes. I came back from gravel, so my legs are a bit muddy. Sorry about that.
Focus on your muddy legs. Okay, so Jonathan, a quick intro about yourself. Maybe people like to know what's your age, what do you do, blah blah blah, the usual bio. All right, take it away.
So my name is Jonathan. I'm 37 this year.
I'm so young.
And I currently work in a bank. So I deal mainly with the front office to source the bank's deals for both lending and investment in corporate finance and also Southeast Asia. And I like cycling. I've been cycling for a very long time, but we can talk about that a bit later.
Sure.
I have three young kids, and of course a wife. So, anything else you want to know?
Andrew, got anything to ask him before I bombard him?
3 kids, well done, man.
Yes.
Yeah, contributing to Singapore.
Birth rate.
Accident one.
Accident, okay.
Okay, we won't go into that. What I mean by accident, but maybe later.
No accident.
I think the question is people want to know, hey, this guy is a scholar. Okay, what kind of scholar were you, and what did you do to land in the best hotel in Singapore?
The one where all the 3 meals paid for you, right?
Definitely.
Changi Chalet.
Got concierge and butlers.
That's right. 24 hours security.
Very good one.
Very good one.
I was a scholar for the Ministry of Foreign Affairs.
Oh, okay.
So,
good prospect.
I actually, if you talk about the typical Singaporean education system, right? You would consider me probably the top.
I see.
In the top 1% lah.
Wow.
So since young, I was in the gifted education program.
I see.
I went to the top schools. Your Rosyth and Raffles Institution, Raffles Junior College.
Wow.
So the stereotypical path to success line in Singapore.
Okay.
So then in army, I was an officer. Got the scholarship. Went to Japan to do my undergraduate, so I was there for 5 years.
Wow.
So if you ask any Singaporean, I think that would be the dream.
Yep.
The dream path to success, right?
Set for life.
Hey, we think of life. That's right. Set for life.
Set for life. So
SET or SAD, say properly.
So unfortunately, what happened is, so I like animals, right? So
Alright.
I currently still have 2 dogs and 1 cat.
Oh, okay.
And back then in Japan, I had a few birds lah, like small parrots lah.
Pakeo, something.
Parakeets.
Parakeets and stuff like that. Exotic?
Not so exotic, but the thing with birds is when you bring them from country to country, it's very, very, very complicated.
Very
strict and complicated because of avian flu. And parrots are considered they're regulated under this this
category.
it's I think a global wildlife protection scheme or rule called CITES. Okay, so you have to do not just the bird flu test, you also have to do the CITES approval, and it's a very, very long and convoluted process. So what happened back then was I was a student, so I was coming back from Japan after my studies, and I wanted to bring them back to Singapore, and the whole process takes a very long time. And
How long to be exact?
I started the process 4 months before I started coming back. Yeah, because it has to be done in many multiple stages, right?
I see.
So we got to, I think the last stage, I'd gotten all the Japanese approvals on the site. But then they were asking, oh, you need to, and one of the conditions is that you need to quarantine them, right, before they come back to Singapore for 14 days. So it could be a quarantine at your house, or it could be a quarantine in one of the designated quarantine stations lah. Well, that's very far, and then the Japanese side, they have very odd rules where you have to go there and feed them every day. So you have to go to the airport, which is like 2 hours from your house every day to feed them. It's crazy.
Yeah, it is crazy.
So
The owner has to feed them.
yeah, they don't feed you. So they say
Oh, wow.
you can quarantine, but you have to go to the airport every day and feed them. And you know the airport in Japan is 2 hours away from
Okay.
Tokyo, right? So it's a bit ridiculous lah. So I asked them, oh, is there any other option? You know, you can also you can actually quarantine when you reach in Singapore, right, for 7 days, and then if it's all clear, then they release them. So I was liaising, of course, with because you had to liaise with both sides, right? With the AVA side in Singapore, back then it was called AVA, and our government, even though it's famed for efficiency, I'm sure if you've dealt with a lot of the government services, you know, they're not very, very responsive lah.
In certain way lah.
Yeah.
Disclaimer first. Disclaimer first.
Not very responsive lah, to say the least. So we were asking them, you know, because the Japan side was saying, okay, if you can't quarantine in Singapore, for us to give you an export permit, then you need to get a confirmation from the Singapore side that you can quarantine in Singapore. So I emailed them, and they didn't reply lah. They didn't reply for like 1 or 2 weeks, and I was really running out of time because I only had a few days left before I was going to leave Japan.
I mean, you do not have any option like somebody to help you
No.
to take care of the birds.
No.
Should have set them free, man, bro.
I mean, you want to bring them back, right?
Yeah,
So-
understand. Yeah, understand the kind of pain that you know you go through. Oh, my birds.
So what happened is I called the AVA officer up, right? And then they said verbally that, oh yes, we confirm that you can quarantine in Singapore. And that is still the procedure, and that was the case back then, right? So then I tell the Japanese side, but Japanese like to have everything in writing lah. So they say, oh, you want the email to say yes. But the guys never give me a reply, what? And at the time I was really running out of time, right? So I edited one of the emails and then I sent it to the Japanese side. So that was the crux of the issue, right?
So you doctor something lah.
Yeah, I doctored the email, say that it's okay to bring the birds back lah.
But what were
And quarantine them.
what were you thinking during that point of time? Were you thinking like, well, would there be repercussions?
No, I wasn't thinking. I
consequences?
was just thinking, you know, this is because the content of the email was
Simple.
accurate. It's accurate. It's according to the procedure. So I wasn't really thinking much. I was thinking, oh, I don't have time.
Yeah.
I need to get the export permit. I need to go back to Singapore, and because I had to go back and start my bond, right?
Yeah.
So I don't have the option to come back and then bring my birds again, right?
Correct.
So I just wanted to get it done again. It was a very long drawn process which actually started 4 months to
Yeah.
give a lot of buffer time. And so that's what I was thinking.
Okay.
I didn't expect it to blow up to such a big issue lah. So I came back, I got an export permit, I brought the birds back, and then when they landed, then I quarantined them. But then the AVA officer asked, oh, why didn't you quarantine in Japan? I said, I talked to your colleague, and your colleague say, can quarantine here lah. So quarantine, let out, then it was okay lah. I think nothing issue. But I think half a year later, I was suddenly called by the police.
Oh, you.
They say, hey, you need to come down to the to the station. I was like, oh,
You're clueless, right?
Clueless, I was
Totally
like, what?
clueless. What did I do?
what did I do? I didn't know what was happening, right? So apparently, AVA went to like ask the Japan side, you know, why didn't you quarantine in Japan? And they said, oh, it's because then through that process, the email came out, right? And then they went to make a police report lah.
So it
Yeah.
took the government side
6 months to do your due diligence.
I don't know. I don't know. Obviously, as a scholar who has never really gotten into any trouble in his
That's
life,
right.
Yep.
That's
you
right.
go there, then you like, what was happening?
cannot marry
I guess you didn't know the gravity of the
seriousness.
I mean,
of your act lah.
I didn't
All you
really-
wanted
yeah,
is just
yeah,
to get things working
Yeah.
lah, right? To move because you were
Yeah.
coming back.
yeah.
You know, that's the context, and
Yeah.
you already started the
Yeah.
process way
Yeah.
back a couple,
Yeah, yeah.
4 months.
Correct.
So I was trying to
right?
follow everything by you know the
By
rules,
book,
right?
by book.
So came back, then they called me. I didn't know what was going on, lah. So I didn't also think that it would be that serious.
Maybe you forgotten what you have done.
Even the police IOs were like,
Apa ni lah?
they
Ini
were like,
case
they
kucing
were
pula.
bullshit case lah,
Yeah,
nonsense
that's
case
right,
lah.
yeah.
Then they asked me what I was doing. They said I was at MFA. Then their faces turned. Then they said, shit, we need to inform MFA. Then you're a scholar, then even more shit.
Yeah.
Right.
Shit
So
after shit. Big pair of shit.
my theory is that if I was not a scholar, this would just have ended in the morning.
Yeah.
Bullshit. Bullshit.
That's my theory lah. I don't know whether it's a conspiracy theory or not.
Okay.
Yeah.
I guess that would be a possibility.
Yeah.
Probability.
Probability
because
lah.
you are, you know, in your position, I think you are held more accountable, higher
Yeah,
expectation.
correct. I believe.
So I also have many friends who are lawyers, and some of them were in AGC, right, the Attorney General's
Yeah.
chambers, and
Because I read your
yeah,
I read the media report on the
Yeah.
case.
yeah,
So the judge also mentioned,
Yeah.
you know, that he wanted to use your example as a,
Yeah.
as a
Yeah.
signal that, you know,
Yeah.
although it may seem very trivial,
mm,
but there's a gravity,
Yeah.
gravity of, I mean, the seriousness of the case,
Yeah.
you know, of such an act.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think what you said, you know, that you are probably a scholar,
Yeah.
MFA, thus has
it has that
Yeah.
you know,
That leverage.
like Peter Parker likes to say, with great power comes great responsibility. So,
Correct. Yeah. I think at the end of the day, they don't want Singapore to be the first in Asia to start the avian flu.
yeah, so in the end, you know, that went to the news, you know. I think at first also when I was in the courtroom, right, because at that time we if you know the Singapore legal process, it goes through a number of rounds at the
Yes.
pre-trial
Yes,
conference.
yes,
and
correct.
Then you have the actual hearing day itself. So typically, if it's a big case, all the media would be notified from day one, right?
Yeah,
But my case, the media were only called in
very last minute.
at the last minute on the actual trial itself. So I remember it was 9 a.m. and then they were all looking very bored. I was sitting in the courtroom and I was like,
all waiting for you.
no. So they were all looking very bored even when the trial started, right? So they were all like zoning or playing their phone. Then once they heard the term MFA and scholar suddenly,
Ding!
ding, then, wow.
Ding
Then,
ding,
yeah
not
lah,
ding
then,
ding
yeah lah,
ding.
then I know, yeah, you can't escape, right? So, yeah. So that's what happened. So I was sentenced to 3 weeks, which is, if you think about it, it's not too long. It's like going to Tekong for confinement.
Yeah. But this confinement cost you your career, your
it
your
did.
future.
Uh, It cost me my future in the civil service lah, and then MFA. Yes.
Let me see. Let me see.
Yeah.
To be correct.
Yeah.
So that means if you are inbound with them,
Yeah.
even if you go in for a few weeks, you're terminated.
Once you have a criminal conviction, yeah, you will be terminated.
But before we jump into the
Yeah.
repercussion and all that,
Yeah.
how was the experience? Were you given special treatment or not? Because maybe you
No,
scholar
of course
or
not, of course
what, maybe. So you share the same in the same cell with drug addicts and all that?
Yeah.
So how?
It was a very interesting experience now that you look back on it. lah.
Yeah, correct.
So I think, and I'm sure you all know also, when you go in, I went in on a Friday, right? And then Changi over the weekend, they don't let you out, right? For 48 hours. No yard time, no out of your cell, right? So obviously I didn't know what I was getting myself into lah. So Friday I went in, then obviously zwa your head, make you botak, right?
Aiya. You should have told them 3 weeks only. They will cut to a certain line only.
No, they don't give chance one.
You must know how to. Jay, 3 weeks only.
I
Did
tell
lah.
them, then they...
Maybe they see you scholar, they bully you.
So when you're inside, I think the worst part of prison is you're just in a very small room with 4 concrete walls, and in Changi it's a grill with just little holes, so you can't really see the sky, right? And it's very suffocating. You don't have a fan. It's hot. The floor is hard. And the worst thing is
No
that...
mattress
No lah, why no mattress?
Don't kesiao, where got mattress.
I mean, the others may not know, and our audience may not know. Maybe
And then
thought
they,
about
and
it.
they give you a straw mat, that's it, and 1 or 2 blankets, which you typically fold to use as a...
2 blankets, standard.
Yeah, 2 blankets they give
Yeah.
you. You should fold as use as your
Yeah.
your pillow lah. And then there's 1 like shared toilet slash
Yes.
shower.
Alright.
But the worst part of prison is, I mean that's all okay, right? If you go into army, you suffer a bit. But the worst part about prison is the abundance of time you have
To reflect.
to reflect or to
Curse.
or whatever it is lah.
Yeah.
Right? Because when you go in, there's nothing else to occupy your time, right? You are not supposed to exercise in the cell, not supposed to, but everyone does.
Yeah.
Correct.
And there's nothing else to do, right? There's no books. When you first go in, you only get your book like after your first month, which takes. I wish I wasn't even long enough for me to get my books. And so only thing you can do is either talk to the other inmates or you just get trapped in your thoughts, right? And when you're inside for the first time for 48 hours, you don't come out. It was really quite mentally. It felt much longer than that, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Like you can't sleep at night. You keep thinking, oh shit, what's gonna happen? You think about the future, think about your family.
The fear of the unknown.
The fear of
First
the
night got
unknown.
cry under the blanket.
Nah, don't
Never-
cry. Don't cry over
Never
problems,
cry
man.
lah, but it was a very psychological
Yeah, it was.
Turmoil.
It will be.
testing time, right? Now,
Yeah.
I'm sure that's what you all felt. Obviously, it gets better with time, but I think the biggest thing about prison in Singapore is, and I also talk to a lot of other, because you meet a lot of interesting people in
Of
prison.
course, of course.
So one of my cellmates was a Vietnamese.
Hey, I'm not
So he's a Vietnamese gangster lah, small time gangster. So I asked him what is he in for? Oh, you're in for vandalism.
Aiyo.
Because he was like one of those along
Along lah.
runner
Along
lah.
runner lah.
Along runner go and
Splash.
the wall, go and put the pig head, don't know what lah. So it was very interesting. He was telling me, oh, I got 24 strokes of the cane.
24.
Yeah, I got 24.
That means he have done a lot of houses.
I think it's his
already.
second time.
Second time at a lot of houses
Yeah,
already. That's
so
why.
he was showing me, it was very interesting. But anyway, he was telling me, because he's been a small time, he's been in prisons in the region, right? But across Southeast Asia, Singapore, they say, is actually the worst.
The worst as in?
As worse as in to go into prison.
I mean, if you're comparing prisons...
You're comparing prisons across.
what is worse? Meaning the food?
In general, lah.
In
In
general.
general, because Singapore, I think the prison system is still very focused on the element of punishment, right?
Okay.
I mean, there are kind of different philosophies behind incarceration, right? You have the punishment element, but you also have the rehabilitation
Yes.
and reintegration element,
Yes.
right? And Singapore is still very much focused on that punishment element, right? And the rehabilitation and reintegration is starting to get a bit more focus, but it's still very much lacking if you compare to more developed countries, right?
I see.
And in other Southeast Asian countries, sure, the prisons are also not, the conditions are also not great, but you pay a bit of money, then people will
Alright.
smuggle in shit for you.
Contrabands?
So I asked him, hey, you go in Vietnam prison, he say, yeah, I pay the guard money, he give me handphone, I can play game, okay. Yeah, or I give the guard money, he bring in cup noodle or chocolate, so okay lah.
It's true, it's true.
Yeah, so in a way Singapore is a lot stricter, right? So
Yeah.
you can't do that.
Yeah.
So it's good, right?
It's good. I mean,
There's no corruption, right?
there's no corruption, it's good.
Yeah.
But what I felt also was that during my time there, the punishment aspect is a bit too overemphasized. And obviously in a Singapore society where you have a lot of stigma with ex-offenders, the punishment just doesn't end there, right? It actually really starts once you get out. And you talk to a lot of prisoners inside, a lot of them are in there multiple times, right? Because they say, oh, I go in, then I come out, I don't know what to do. I have no method to get money and find a place to sleep. Because when they throw you out of prison, they throw you out with the clothes that you came in. And if you don't have money, they give you money to go back to your house.
That's all. Correct.
That's all.
Correct.
Through bus or public transport, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry, for the interest of those who are
Yes.
viewing, right?
Yes.
Who may not know. Which year was this when you were inside, when you were sentenced, your case? I think we did not mention that. 10 years ago, about?
Yeah, about 26, was it 2016?
11. It's about 11 years ago.
It's about 2016 if I'm not wrong.
9.
2016.
9 years ago. Hey, but
November
true to a
2016,
fact, what you were saying about the contraband in
Yeah.
prison.
Yeah.
Do you know that in the younger days of Singapore, there are still such things?
Yeah, of
going
course,
on?
of course, of course.
It's only to be fair to the system now. Okay, it's over the years they revamp, they understand, and that is why you say the punishment was strict. And it's very true. Many years ago, you still can bribe people, you still can
Yes.
smuggle in, because
Yes.
I said it before. My earliest incarceration was 89. Yeah.
But if you look at recidivism rates, right, in Singapore is actually still pretty high.
Recidivism rate, I think, is mostly for drug abuser.
Yeah.
You can see the graph there.
At least 50%.
Yeah.
Continue what you want to say.
It's
your
still
point.
pretty high, right? And so, my opinion is that, and if you compare to the Nordic countries especially, where maybe you think prisons like a chalet lah, and maybe it is lah.
Don't want to know.
For them, rehabilitation and reintegration is the core philosophy behind incarceration, right? So I think there could be a bit of a better balance towards that. And I think the Yellow Ribbon movement is a really, really great policy or a great move by the government. But anyone who has ever been to prison knows that once you have a criminal conviction, you can never work for the government. Never. They will never employ you.
That's very true.
So
But can be a lawyer, right?
Huh?
Can be a lawyer.
can be lawyer,
No,
but
but public
you can
service.
never be a civil servant,
Civil servant, I see.
or public servant.
I
So
see.
not just civil service, but also all the related public service, so all the stat boards, all that, they will never employ you.
I see.
I not sure what's the policy on that,
Yeah.
but I have come across individuals who have been hired lah. But this is under Yellow Ribbon.
Yeah.
Yeah, so but not too sure about other
Yeah.
agencies.
Yeah.
But like you, I hope, as you said, the Yellow Ribbon message, right, and the movement, perhaps
If,
the public service,
Yeah.
public, government being the biggest employer
Yeah.
in Singapore, can take the lead.
Yeah.
You know?
If they
Yeah.
take the lead, it's a very strong message, right?
Yeah.
So, while it's a great initiative, there are things that the government could, do to signal that this is something that we're really serious about, right?
Yeah.
Because if the biggest employer in Singapore doesn't employ ex-offenders, it doesn't send a good signal, right, to other potential employers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I guess the other way that our government also approaches this issue, right, of
Yeah.
employment, is they provide some sort of grant to employers.
Correct.
Yeah, so they
Correct.
may not be able to hire, but they also empower or subsidize.
Yeah.
So, but whether is it addressing the long term?
Yeah.
That's
That's a different issue, right?
Yeah. Which I think that's where you're coming at.
Money is one thing, right?
Yeah.
But the biggest issue that people face is also stigma,
Stigma,
right?
okay.
And a lot of that stigma is from people around you, right? Your general society. And if the government is perpetuating this idea that if you're ex-offender, you're unemployable in the civil service or public service, that reinforces that stigma, right?
Yeah.
Before we
Yeah.
talk about stigma,
Yeah.
which is something that I
Yeah.
see you keep bringing up,
Yeah.
you mentioned a few characters that you met
Oh, okay.
in right?
Yeah,
Then you
yeah.
mentioned Vietnamese.
Yeah.
since that, 2016 when you were inside and out, have you kept in touch with any of them or?
No way to keep in touch,
No,
right? Because you
okay.
don't have a phone inside. You don't know how to get their number also. You don't have any writing materials lah.
Okay.
But it was interesting inside, right? Because you meet a lot of very, very funny characters also. I mean, obviously, I met like some molester and some peeping Tom, which, okay lah, you're inside, I cannot help you lah. This one you 自找麻烦啦. And then, of course, you also do meet like people who are in there for white collar crime, or like who are there for very inane reasons lah. Some very stupid reasons like protesting or what lah.
Sure.
But sometimes you talk to them and then you realize, these guys are actually decent people, right? Why do they turn to crime, or why have they made these mistakes, right? Sometimes it's just a lapse of judgment. A lot of times it's because of their socio-economic background, right?
How do you feel, being grown up in the media for the wrong thing? What was your personal feeling?
I mean, initially, and back then, once you're in the media in Singapore, it's
For the wrong thing?
for a wrong thing. And with the internet, it never disappears, right?
Yeah.
In Singapore, even after 5 years, your record gets wiped, right? If you don't re-offend. So I don't have a criminal record now.
Yeah. For you,
For me,
your crime,
Yes.
can consider spent.
So it's considered spent.
Yes, correct.
But that article will never disappear from the internet, right? So that piece of information will always be there, and any potential employer or anyone can just Google my name and they will find that article. And how they think or what their impression is of me is not up to me, right? It's defined by that article, right?
Okay. So it's like a life sentence, huh?
It is like a life sentence,
Right.
right?
Although it may seem very harsh, trivial, your offense
Yeah.
and the implication that you have
Yeah.
gotten yourself. I do have to say that
This is your personal perception?
no, you see our government stance in the judge. Recently there's also a lot of high-profile cases. Whether it's in the minister, right?
Yes.
Iswaran.
You know who?
Right.
Yeah.
Then there's a traffic police also
Yeah.
who's
Correct.
who drink drive
That's
and
right.
respect, and he was also made an example.
Yep.
So I think also we have to, on the other side, right, it also shows impartiality on the government
Correct,
side,
yes.
regardless.
That I agree. That I
Right,
agree.
Yeah.
regardless of
That I agree.
as long as you're a whole office holder, you're a public servant,
Yeah.
you help to
You're
higher
accountable
accountability.
on a
There
higher
cannot
level.
be, you cannot be above the law.
That I
Correct.
agree.
True.
Yeah,
That I
so that is also on the other flip side, another point of view, lah, right? So just unfortunate.
No.
Maybe okay, yeah. I just want to put that.
No.
that-
I totally
yeah,
agree
yeah,
that you need to have
Yeah.
you need to have a working and effective
Yeah.
system of a legal system, a system of courts and rules and laws to have a proper functioning society, right? Otherwise, you get monkeys everywhere, right?
Yeah.
The main thing I'm just saying is that there needs to be a bit more focus on reintegration and rehabilitation, right?
Restorative,
Yeah.
right? Not
Rather
just
than
retributive.
the retributive or
Right.
the punishment aspect, right?
That one I agree with.
Yeah.
That one I totally agree with. Yeah.
So that I think is still what is lacking in Singapore.